WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Okay. I'm not feeling nice. All right. What is this? Okay, got a new setup going on in here. I don't know about this. All right. Hey, Vaughn, I see you, bro. I don't think my Facebook people are gonna be able to hear. I'm wondering about this. Can't hear the music going. All right, let's do it. Oh, stuff like that. Let me see. Hey, Sherry, I see you, sister. Like the music stop. Some stuff going on here. Let's see. No, that's not working. Situation going on here. Hold up. Okay. Hey, Sherry. All right. I can hear the music. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. All right. Well, let's get it going. Come tell me, my Facebook audience, can y'all hear the music? I know you can. All right. All right. Now, can't hear the station. Okay. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye. Got some, I know you can't hear the music, sister. They did something here to the station, didn't consider those of us that broadcast on Facebook. We need to hear the music in the station. I'm going to lodge a complaint about that. All right, let's get it moving here. Every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. This is our job here, but I'm going to keep it moving. Unfortunately, like I said, they did this setup without considering those of us that broadcast on Facebook Live. And that's a problem. All right. Okay. I'm just going to skip my disclaimer today. All right, let's get right to it here. Okay. Something that we've been seeing past couple of days, or since yesterday, that gives us spiritual joy. I'm going to say it like that. Just gives us spiritual joy. Hey, Steve. All right. And that's the Nottingham plantation in Louisiana. Yes, it burned, baby, burned. It burnt down. Yeah, I tell you, and I can guarantee you that no black people are sad about that. The Nottoway plantation, it was built by enslaved Africans in 1859, and it was owned by this evil dude named John Randolph. Now, John wasn't even from Louisiana. He was from Virginia originally. But he came from a wealthy slave-owning family. And his dad was hired by the federal government to do something in Louisiana, and he moved with him. Now, originally, he wanted to make it a cotton plantation, the same type of plantation that he was used to in Virginia. But he noticed that the climate in Louisiana was a lot different. So he changed it to a sugar plantation, and because of that, he ended up tripling his family's wealth. John Randolph enslaved 176 people, but the plantation house itself was built around the same time as the Civil War, around the time the Civil War started. Now, John, he didn't want to fight in the Civil War because he was a coward. He was scared. So he sent his 3 sons, and he asked, how much money do I have to give to keep me out of this? And he was a huge financial backer of the Confederacy in Louisiana, punk ass. When he realized that Confederacy was losing, he left his wife in Louisiana, straight coward. All right. Took 200 slaves and went to Texas. Once the Civil War was over, he contracted with 53 bonded people, basically people that owed him money and were working to pay it off. It's not just another form of slavery. I mean, it's just another form of slavery. He eventually died in 1883, and his wife eventually sold the plantation for like $50,000, was whatever, the 1880s, maybe 1870s and whatever. And that's equivalent to like over $1 million today. But it burned down. And you know, the funny thing that I saw, and I posted, was there was a post with Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass in front of the plantation burning down with a great big smile on their face. Damn right. Like I said, it gives you a sense of spiritual satisfaction. Now, that's what I'm gonna keep it moving today, because my Facebook listeners are not hearing the music. So I'm not even gonna bother to take a musical break, I don't think. Okay, moving right along. Back in 1974, legendary scholar Chancellor Williams distilled his 20-plus years of wisdom into 384 pages. All right, hey, Alan. All right, and in this book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, he shared a simple 6-step process for discovering the truth about African history. If you hadn't read this book, you should. I think it's required reading. I think I probably read it like 3 times. Well, here's the breakdown. It begins with the origin of humanity. African history begins with the very dawn of humankind. That's 1. 2, it focuses on the golden age of black civilization, Old Kingdom of Kemet, from 3100 to 2181 BC. The unification of Upper and Lower Egypt occurred. The pyramids were built. Significant advances were made in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. 3, examine the impact of invasions. the Hyksos invasion of Egypt, the spread of Islam across North Africa, European colonization and its lasting effects. 4, study the Great Migrations. That's real important. Study the Great Migrations. The migrations from Kemet and their linguistic and cultural impact. Forced migrations due to the slave trade. Modern migrations driven by economic factors and conflict. And I say the migrations are so important because those that migrated from East Africa, all right, from Kemet, spread throughout the continent, and it had an effect on the continent. And this is the effect. Number 5, analyze the reemergence of African kingdoms and empires. This period from the 10th to the 19th century saw the rise of numerous powerful African states: the Mali Empire, the Sangay Empire, the Kingdom of Congo, the Zulu Kingdom, right? What Chancellor Williams explained about the migrations was, as these migrations took place, the priesthood and the educated class of Kemet spread throughout the continent. That's why you had the Mali, the Sangay Empire, the Kingdom of Congo, the Zulu Kingdom, and so on and so forth. And number 6, understand the colonialism and the fight for independence. And that covered the Berlin Conference and the scramble for Africa, African resistance movements, and the process of decolonization and its challenges. All right. All right. And like I said, Destruction of Black Civilization should be required reading for our people, not here, not just in the diaspora, but across the African world. This is from Brother Hameen, Abdul Latif Hameen, L. And what he said, if folks consider the deporting of unregistered immigrants, brown, Hispanic family is insensitive and inhumane, which it is, how would one describe our African Holocaust? The Ma'afa of an estimated 12.5 million Africans who were captured by Europeans and shipped to the Americas as slaves. Some sources even suggest the death toll during the Middle Passage would be as high as 2 million. Those deaths were a result of horrific conditions, including disease, starvation, hydration, and abuse. Africans who survived the brutal existence of slavery for 250 years, it's 10 generations, also had our memories, culture, and our mindset destroyed. To add to that horrible occurrence, those who profited from that atrocity refused to repair the crimes of humanity that their white ancestors did to make America great as she became, because of our free forced labor, our inventions, and other contributions that helped make America what she is today. And that is an actual fact, because without the forced labor of the African in America, America wouldn't have rose to be the economic power that it did as soon as it did. All right. Now, of course, one of the things that is still being talked about and discussed and what have you is Rodney Hinton. All right. And what Rodney Hinton did after seeing his son murdered by the gang in blue. We know them as the cops. It's from Christian Search. Okay, Christian Search says, as a white man, let me say this. Rodney Hinton didn't lose control. He finally took some back. The system murdered his son, shot down an 18-year-old over a stolen car, claimed he pointed a gun, and then couldn't even back it up with a clear body cam. They watched that boy die. Gave his father the footage and basically said, now get over it. You expect him to go home and pray on it? You expect him to light candles and write signs while the same system gears up to do it again to somebody else's child next week? Nah, he hit back. And now everyone's crying about the cop he ran over, a retired deputy, as if that is the real tragedy here. Funny how people suddenly care about life when it's one of your own in uniform. But when it's a grieving black father begging for justice, you label him a threat. This country was built on retaliation, on rebellion, on don't tread on me. But let a black man fight back and suddenly it's terrorism? Nah. That's rage you created. That's grief that this system signed, sealed, and delivered. It's not saying what Rodney did was legal. I'm saying it was understandable. And I'd rather live in a world full of Rodneys than another one where cops keep walking free after burying somebody's baby. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. All right. Maybe I will take a little musical break here. Chop up the thing. Let me see here. All right. I know y'all can't hear it, but yeah, I don't know what's going on here, why they would do this, but okay. All right, moving right along here. And come back on the air at the radio station. WHGE 95.3 FM. The Open Eye. All right. The poverty of our century. Yeah, well, I got that. That's okay. Okay. The poverty of our century, unlike that and the other, it is not. As poverty was before the result of natural scarcity, but of a set of priorities imposed upon the rest of the world by the rich. Consequently, the modern poor are not pitied, but written off as trash. And we see the proof of that. All you got to do is canvass through the city like I do every day. Hey. Moving right along. Trump puts white Africans on citizenship fast track while rejecting all other refugees. It's as subtle as the air raid. The orange disaster claims Afrikaners, that's the white South Africans, hate calling them that. They're colonizers from white South Africa, colonizers of South Africa. Trump claims they're victims of genocide while denying entry to refugees actually fleeing famine and war. Since taking office, the orange disasters regime has virtually shut down refugee admissions and blocked funding for resettlement groups, stranding thousands of people who were granted entry to the United States for humanitarian protections, only to have those offers rescinded. But the orange disaster has singled out one specific group of people who will be allowed entry into the United States and appear to be on a fast track to citizenship. The white colonizers from South Africa. A group of 59 white South African colonizers have been admitted to the United States as refugees. And they have been essentially extended citizenship, Cheeto Man said. And they were greeted by State Department officials on Monday at the landing at Washington Dulles International Airport on taxpayer-funded flight, following their fast-track refugee vetting process under the administration radically reshaped admissions program. And you know, I'm going to tell you something. The interesting thing about this is the reaction from Hispanic people. Okay? And of course, they're like, how could he? How could he? Yeah, your proximity to whiteness didn't work out when you voted for the orange disaster, did it? No, it didn't work out at all. Because he's busy sending ICE after your people while bringing in more whites. And some racist ass whites at that. Because you know the colonizers from South Africa, them some racist son of a bitches. All you got to do is look at elongated muskrat. Right? But the thing is, they going to come here. They not used to us. They're used to our brothers and sisters in South Africa who are a little more tolerant of their racism for some reason. We're not tolerant of that crap. All right? What is it? It's a term that white colonizers in South Africa use. I think it's kafta. It basically means the N-word. I want y'all to know that. Because one of these white South Africans roll up on you with that kafta crap, whoop his ass. All right? It's from a history teacher. And focuses on the Great Depression and the era between wars, between the Great Wars, World War I and World War II. And what this history teacher said was, being a history teacher, every time I teach World War II and Hitler, students will inevitably ask, why would the German people ever elect a man like Hitler? I try to explain to them, when he ran for office, he promised to stand strong against immigration, communism, and the economy, which were the three biggest fears for the German people at the time. It basically played on their fears. The German people loved it. But my students have a hard time grasping the concept as to why Hitler rose to power. The funny thing is that it's happening again. But this time it's happening here in America. And the issues that are being raised are almost identical to 1930s Germany. Trump is pandering to American fears the exact same way Hitler did in Germany 80 years ago. 80 plus years ago. When y'all want to take the time and compare the Orange Disaster speeches to Hitler's, you will discover that they sound eerily similar. Instead of communism, it's terrorism. Instead of putting the blame on Jews, it's Muslims. Instead of Polish and Jewish immigrants, it's Mexicans. So to my ex-students, whoever asked me that question, just turn on CNN and see how a maniac can easily get elected. Yeah. Because what he did was he basically just played on racist white people's hate. And that's exactly what he did. Played on people's hate. Yeah. I'll tell you something how that hate has been used for centuries, right, by rich white people to convince poor white people to vote against their own interests. I mean, you think of a speech I saw Tim Wise give, where he explained how during the Civil War, they convinced poor white people to fight for slavery, which was damaging them as much as it was African Americans, Africans in America. Yeah, we gotta fight against this here slavery, because if we don't, they set them slaves free, they're gonna get you, they're gonna get our jobs. Dumbass, they got your job. They're just not getting paid for it. That's all right. And what we get is whites nowadays a crying victim. It's amazing how when you're not feeling your white privilege, you feel victimized. Going around, what is reverse? It's reverse racism. It's reverse. You're making us uncomfortable. That's reverse racism. What is reverse racism? It's a pathetic attempt by white people to feel victimized by a problem that they created. Damn. That's where, hey, Rhonda, I see you, sister. This white woman got on TikTok talking this crap about how she's tired of black folks. White fatigue. TikTok exploded with videos of people arguing for and against a white woman's definition of black fatigue. Now, that's where, if someone asks you to define the term black fatigue, you might call it a general weariness black people feel while living in a world where systemic racism impacts their access to everything from quality health care to education. But some on social media are turning the term on its head after a white woman used it to describe her weariness with all things she calls ghetto. Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We're just unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, the entitlement, the victimhood. That's what this mayonnaise mafia got on TikTok and said. The woman's now deleting TikTok clip. And yeah. As soon as they get called out on their crap, they take their crap down. As folks was weighing in on whether they think she's making a valid argument, including TikTok user Marissa Z, who says a white woman talking about entitlement should look in the mirror before she starts complaining. Boy, you got that right. You talk about entitlement, but y'all out here upset, downright upset, making laws to prevent people that are not your color from doing anything, from achieving things, from voting. That absolutely sounds like entitlement to me. Y'all believe that y'all deserve everything just because you're unmelanated. Yeah. And don't let them change black fatigue the same way they change DEI and woke. She misused the F out of that. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. See, I tell you. She misused the hell out of it. Newsflash, white people don't want to live around ratchet black people, and black people don't want to live around ratchet black people. I mean, it's nothing like going to Walmart on a Sunday morning and you see the Bonnet crew walk in. You know what? Back up, sister. There was a sister that said that. Well, I don't like doing. Well, of course, I don't go to Walmart. And seeing these ratchet white people won't discipline their kids, you know, smelling like wet dogs. How could you say that? I'm telling you the truth. That's all right. Black fatigue is a term that refers to physical and psychological exhaustion experienced by many black people due to repeated exposure to racism, discrimination, and systemic racism over time. Coined and popularized by Mary Frances Winters in her 2020 book, Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and the Spirit. The term highlights how the long-term effects of racism can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, health problems, emotional weariness. Also encompasses the toll of constantly having to explain, justify, or resist racial injustice. That's black fatigue. That's the reality. Which brings me to how interesting it is that we jump up and invite people to the barbecue. and the reasons we do so. Okay, we'll see some white person doing a dance that black people created. Oh wow, yeah, they can come to the barbecue. We might even excuse them for the raisins in the potato salad. Bull. Now we got this other thing going on. This other trend. Gingers are black, meaning people with red hair. And the trend exposes white on white racism. And some people are saying they created a sweet kinship between black folks and white redheads. The ginger trend tells stories of white redheads feeling like outsiders of their own race, but celebrating acceptance from the black community. And there y'all go. Oh, TikTok has a way of bringing people together in the most unexpected and entertaining ways. But nothing could pull at your heartstrings more than the charming and bizarre online discourse dubbed Gingers Are Black. Okay, we'll explain how one video turned into honest, feel-good conversation and internet unity between white redheads and blacks. Since the trend took off a few days ago, dozens, maybe even hundreds of white redheads have shared testimonies and waking up to massive amounts of new followers and heartfelt messages from black users extending their love and support. Yes, indeed. Invite them to the barbecue. A quick search of this trendy topic reveals a flood of emotional videos from white redhead creators overwhelmed by unexpected support. I saw one of the most beautiful videos ever. It was about me, one TikTok creator tearfully shares. I've had a lot of pain in my life, a lot, and I'm not able to talk about it. I woke up going viral, getting thousands of followers, support, love, comments, feeling truly wanted. And now it's time to talk about my story. And he tearfully describes how 4 black men shaped his life over the past 26 years and plans to tell more. All right. Oh, we can't begin to explain how many tear-jerking confessions have taken over our TikTok timeline. The viral Gingers Are Black conversation has caused shockwaves with a surprising new narrative. Some white redheads or gingers see themselves as the black people of the white race. That might have been so when the Irish first came over here. All right. But yeah, I'm real shaky on that now. Yeah. All gingers are black. Okay. Yeah. All gingers are black. Where was this energy? I heard this this white chick say this. One of these TikTokers. All gingers are black. Where was this energy for Halle Berry, when she was Ariel? All right. Lock doors and bar the effing gates. Because I don't remember a single ginger person calling Halle cousin. I remember them saying, not my Ariel, not my Little Mermaid. They were the most pressed group of people harassing this young woman online. They was harassing her all over social media, berating her, being racist as F to her. Okay, so now I know people are going to say, it's a joke. It's just a joke. You're being so serious when you give people an inch, they're going to take a mile. This trend is very telling. Because if you ask a non-black person what their favorite thing is about black people, you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, oh, I love that they're great hype people. They make me feel so cool. It's all about how black people embrace them and they love it. But the embracing doesn't go the other way around. Okay? You have people that want and love to be welcomed to black spaces. But they don't want to welcome black people into their spaces. And I tell you something, like I said, excuse me, yeah. I've known Irishmen, and of course, a lot of the American Irish, including the one I was employed by, want to play Oppression Olympics about that Irish history and oppression, about the way they were treated when they came here. But I'm going to tell you something. There's a big difference in the Irish here and the Irish in Ireland. A big difference. And this is from Irish Catholic. And she is putting the difference. She said there's nothing sadder to people struggling against oppression in Ireland to look towards Boston City and see our people, and we know why they got here. We know the oppression that ran them out of Ireland and various generations to get to Boston City being used to oppress the black people of this city. People tell me I don't understand the situation. They tell me blacks are lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to. They want to lower the standard of education. In fact, they tell me all the things I was brought up to hear about myself. Things Protestant people said about Catholic people in Belfast. And I think that's part of it too. I mean, if they really understood what was happening in Ireland, all right, they would get themselves sorted out and stand on the right side. Because we identify very closely in our struggle for equality and our struggle against oppression. In fact, the whole inspiration for our civil rights movement in Ireland 10 years ago came from the black movement of America. And it looks to us from where we stand at home that our people are being oppressed with the active assistance of our people. And when she says our people, she's pointing to African Americans. And I've seen some Irish that went home with that Irish American racist mindset and got rejected. I heard a sister say Ireland is a real strange place in Europe. It's as if they didn't get the racism gene. These are the most welcoming Europeans on the European subcontinent. I call it a subcontinent because Europe is not really a continent. It's a peninsula of Asia, actually. Look it up. All you gotta do is look at the map. But yeah, these are the most welcoming people on the European peninsula. Hey. Y'all better get it together. Yeah, I know I'm skipping the musical break. We're gonna fix this in here. All right. You know, it's something as you look around at things that are going on, not only with the pollution, with the destruction of the environment and what have you, you have to wonder how long this is going to go on. It made me think of something George Carlin said. You know, you people are a threat to the earth. You think you're a threat to the earth? Ask the people of Pompeii if they feel like they're a threat to the earth. You have to understand what the earth is. The earth is a living entity. I explained this before. You learn by repetition. As in the case with all living entities, it is evolving and self-correcting. When something is a danger to the living entity, it will evolve and move to eradicate that danger. You ever had a fever Why'd you get that fever? Because you had a virus. And your body is self-correcting. So what your body did was it made it too hot for that virus to survive. And that's what the earth is doing. It's making it too damn hot for that virus that it has. And you have to wonder about that virus. I tell you what, they have never operated in the world, in fact, like they're even part of the human family. This is from Shahid Bison. Let's be frank, they have operated in this world like some sort of alien predator that's just come down to drain the sweat, blood, and tear of the human race and to ransack the planet's resources. That's how they've acted. Like they have somewhere else to go when it's all depleted. I mean, we have to be honest about this. We have to confront the fact that the West has operated with absolute malice, with absolute contempt for the whole world. Not today, not yesterday, but literally for centuries. And there's no remorse. There's no repentance. There's no rehabilitation. Literally the only thing that has changed is that now their malice and their contempt has made them turn on each other. They haven't reformed. They're just repositioning. This is the only difference. There's no change in their character. Okay? They have not become our friends just because they're no longer constrained by nationalism. They're just as predatory and just as vicious as they ever were. All right? It's a quote from coming up here from LeVar the Basement. Politically speaking, everything that happened in the 80s is revenge for the civil rights movement of the 1960s. In the 70s, under Nixon, they planned their revenge. In the 80s, under Reagan, may roast in hell, may the devil sodomizing with a pitchfork. Under Reagan and Bush, they took revenge. And in the 90s, Clinton kind of ran back those ideals of revenge, but in an attempt to appear tough on crime, wound up making life worse for African Americans and instituted mass incarceration as we know it today. So what do we do about it? Well, take this with a grain of salt. Never in the history of ever has change happened without violence. Take that. Take that and do with it what you will. And what's going on? We're watching the decline. This I got this from a Canadian. You know, first she showed this MAGA nut with misinformation. 75% of Canada's exports come to the United States. Meanwhile, only 18% of United States exports go to Canada. Wait a minute. You're saying that we sell you 75% of our exports and you sell us 18% of your exports? But it's actually 17.3. Okay. See the imbalance there? Actually, yeah, I see the imbalance. Let's get into it. In 2024, Canada imported $4 billion U.S. Domestic and goods, and the U.S. deported $3 billion in goods. Those numbers are actually pretty close, but here's the kicker: is that your population is 330 million. Canada's population is 39 million. You see where this is going? Okay, let's break it down by capita. What does that end up with? 4 billion, okay, divided by 39 million people comes out to about $10,000 per person, where 350 billion divided by 330 million people comes to about $1,000 per person. It's kind of like bragging that a family of 9 eats more than a family of 1, and then acting like the family of 1 is freeloading. But hey, keep making that content, because you're giving these people endless material. And one more thing, Mexico is America's biggest trading partner, not China. 75% of Canada's exports come to the United States. Still, y'all not right bright. Where is this going? I'm gonna tell you where it's going. All right. Let me explain. It's really almost amazing if it wasn't so dangerous, so sad. I don't know if I'm sad about it or not. I don't know if I'm sad about it or not. The fall of the American empire. And they don't tell you this on the evening news, but America is already gone. Not falling, not declining, gone. You haven't heard the crash yet. Remember, America built its empire on 2 things, the dollar and the promise of power. But now the world is waking up and moving on. In 2025, China now commands the largest commercial fleet on the planet. 550 vessels to a mere 80 cargo ships, cut through the oceans like arteries pumping lifeblood. Only now that blood is no longer flows through American ports. Janet Q, I see. The South China Sea isn't contested, it's conquered. The map still lies, but reality doesn't. Well, reality doesn't. Europe struck a deal with Beijing. Shipping routes through the Arctic bypassing the U.S. entirely, while Washington spins its wheels on political theater. Nations are laying railways, building ports, connecting without the U.S. Initiative isn't just infrastructure, it's a stranglehold, a new Silk Road paved in iron, and debt in America is locked outside. The dollar is fading. 74 countries have signed bilateral agreements to trade in yuan, rubles, and the euro. The petrodollar whispers like a ghost, an echo of power that's already gone. When Saudi Arabia finalizes this agreement with China, the dollar collapses from a global standard to a local liability. Our military, once unmatched, now since paralyzed in the Pacific, China's Navy doesn't just rival ours, it dwarfs it. 5,500 ships move across waters like shadows stretching at dawn. Meanwhile, America's carriers remain anchored, aging, gutted for parts. The chip war is over. It's over. 90% of the world's advanced semiconductors are made in Taiwan. And China's hand is already on the lever. When Beijing pulls it, the lights go out and the screens go dark and the machines freeze in place. Once America stood as the world's largest creditor, now it's the world's largest debtor, owing trillions to the very nations that are surpassing it on the global stage. The global stage is resetting. The world no longer waits for Washington's permission or fears its retaliation. This isn't just a transition, this is abandonment. The facade of American greatness is over. America is being replaced. WHGE 95.3 FM. Last musical break here. Yeah, I know my Facebook people don't hear the musical break, but that's all right. I see you, cousin Lisa. All right, all right. All right, all right. All right. WHGE 95.3 FM. The Open Eye. This is your host, Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist. All right, moving right along. Yeah, hang in there, y'all. Just got a few minutes left. All right. Well, you know that Africa gave birth to mathematics, medicine, architecture, and astronomy. You walk differently. You stand differently. You think differently. And they fear what happens when 40 million Africans in America reclaim their historical consciousness. This is from Nicole Hannah-Jones. You know she is as I roll on. This is why they ban our history. They ban our history because black history, by definition, is political. Nicole Hannah-Jones went on to say that's right, because black people, by definition, are political. Our history is political because every story of American greatness, every story of American exceptionalism, they want to tell you, we are in the corner saying, how do you explain us? If all this is true, why are we here? If America is exceptional, all this is true, how do you explain how you suppressed our rights for 350 years? How you bought and sold our ancestors? How you claim to be democratizing Europe, but denying violently democracy for black people here? See, we're the most inconvenient people to the story of American exceptionalism. So they want to ban our history because we give light. We reveal a lie. We reveal a lie of this country. And the stories that are told, we're the heroes of that story. So what the research shows is that when you teach black history, when you teach black children black history, they do better academically. That's not shocking. If you see yourself in the story, then you have a powerful sense of who you are. This is why they ban our history. Because once I got a little taste of black history, I became an incorrigible student. I was challenging everything. Same here. That's at home. I will go off in social studies like, okay, where are we? Why aren't you talking about us? Okay? All of a sudden, you don't just accept the narrative that they give you. You start to challenge it. You start to have an understanding. So I became, wait a minute, excuse me, y'all. Because of this understanding, and because of the class I took, 15 years old with a black educator, Mr. Dalio, he introduced me to the Mayflower before 1619. I became the child who would go on to create 1619 project, the 1619 projects. If I don't get that class, I don't create this project. So they want to ban the class because they don't want more of us. That's right. They don't want more doctors. They don't want more Nicole Hannahs. They don't want people who can help our children know there's nothing wrong with black folks. There's something wrong with America. That's right. And they don't want you to know that. And one of the things I often talk about, especially when I talk about our people in ancient times, and beyond there. I'll explain as I go on. And I think this is what makes me look at Ibrahim Traoré with such admiration. Leading the way, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Nigeria have launched their own joint bank. That's a bold step toward financial independence. By breaking away from exploitive global systems, they're reclaiming their sovereignty and empowering their people. This is more than just a financial move. It's a declaration of self-determination and African unity. As I look around, and I realize when I see these invites to the barbecue, when I see these black MAGAs, when I see some of our people that are pretty much scared, I realize that many of our people are not ready for the responsibility of revolution and nationhood. That's throughout the diaspora, as well as on the continent, as well as in the motherland. One of our biggest problems is we have been robbed of our knowledge of managing the state. And as history shows, the African was very good at managing the state. From ancient Nubia to Kemet to medieval Benin to Songhai, Mali, Ghana, the African was very good at managing the state indeed. Somehow the African in America retained this knowledge for quite some time, even in the face of brutal bondage. The irrefutable evidence of the amazing resiliency of the African are the hundreds of well-run black communities that sprung up all over America as soon as the physical change of bondage were removed. Of course, the history of America does not want to talk about is the fact that most of these thriving black communities were destroyed by white supremacy, including white citizens and the American government. We weren't just robbed of our knowledge to manage the state. We were massacred for daring to do so. Remember when the African ruled the world, it was a much better place. When black men ruled the world. Something very important that ancient black people of Africa understood was balance. There was no word for poverty. There was no word for jail. The world was rich with resources that were freely shared. So no one had to rob and murder. That's why we were able to advance and progress and build and create and philosophize and ponder and learn and teach when black men ruled the world. The world is still rich with resources. Unfortunately, control of the world's resources have been seized by a bunch of white supremacist thugs and gangsters out of Europe and America. These thugs have also done a lot of environmental damage and seem hell-bent on destroying the world. These nefarious psychopaths have wantonly raped, robbed, murdered for centuries. They must be stopped. At this point, the only true viable solution is global African supremacy. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. All right, all right. All right, all right. Well, I hope you learned something today because I learned something before I got here. And as we always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. This has been The Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm Patrice Gibbs. I know you don't hear the music over in Facebook. But like I always tell you, global African supremacy. Now I hear the music. Okay. All right, all right. Thanks for joining us. Peace.